Hi, this is Mc Loone, Associate Editor of Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment Magazine. Today I'm down in Orlando, Florida. I'm attending the Fire Department Safety Officers Association Apparatus Symposium, and this is my first attempt at a video blog. We'll see how many I do. We'll see if they're well received, but I'd like to maybe kind of use this way to chime in from time to time with you, let you know kind of what's going on the magazine side, maybe the website side, let you know some of the things that that are going on around the industry as I make my rounds. I'll be traveling again this year to various manufacturers, and I'm sure there will be plenty of opportunities for me to share some of the things that I'm finding out there with you, if I'm allowed by the manufacturers. Today, what I'd like to share with you is just some information I got out of a keynote. Chief Brian Crawford of the Plano, Texas Fire Department gave a keynote today. And you may recognize that name because we interviewed Chief Crawford back in December for our December issue regarding a new alternative response vehicle program he implemented back in October. Basically the program involves using two Suburbans for different types of medical responses. What he was able to do is he was able to take money earmarked for different capital expenditures and apply it to the two Suburbans and save money at the same time without cutting service. The biggest thing that Chief Crawford, one of the biggest things that he emphasized during his keynote was that you cannot cut funds and expect to deliver the same level of service. One of the methods that he uses to maintain the funding levels and to maintain capital expenditures and things like that is data. Now, anyone who's read my editorials in the past few months knows that I'm a big fan of data. I think it's very important for departments to gather all the data that they can. When you are delivering data and presenting data to a municipality or to an authority having jurisdiction, when you want to make, say, an apparatus purchase, you're not just coming off as a complainer saying my truck is too old, I want a new truck, blah, 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 blah. It's not like that. You are now making an observation based on data. You're saying this truck is X amount of years old, it has X amount of miles on it, the maintenance expenses for this truck are X, Y, or Z, and it makes this many responses, it is this old, etc., etc., etc. Those are the things you can use to justify these expenses. But more important than just justifying the expenses, you're also providing a solution. In this case, Chief Crawford took a look at a situation, increased EMS runs, an aging population in Plano, Texas. They have these assisted living facilities popping up all over the place, where he said at one point his ambulances were basically going there, going to the hospital, going back, going to the hospital. I mean, it was all day long. They were just they were driving around in circles. So armed with that data, armed with certain responses and changing demographics of Plano, Texas, he was able to justify purchasing these two alternative response vehicles. He mentioned again, we are a data-driven society. That's just the way it is. And I mean, personally, from my perspective, shame on us if we're not doing everything we can to collect the data we need to present to municipalities to get the proper funding. The other underlying theme of Chief Crawford's talk was you cannot maintain the same level of service if you are cutting funds. And that is something he said we need to communicate to our municipalities at all times. It's the most important thing. If you cut the funds, this level of service will change. I also wanted to talk today a little bit about news that we got on Friday about American LaFrance. Unfortunately, on Friday, as of 5 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on Friday, this past Friday, which was January 17th, American LaFrance closed its doors. This is not the first time that American LaFrance has experienced some business trouble. Their problems have been well documented through the years, but I look at this and I say, geez, this is just another American iconic brand which unfortunately has closed. I'm hopeful that someone will pick up the name whether it's just a brand or whether somebody starts building fire trucks under the American LaFrance name again, that would be optimum for me. You know, my first truck that I ever rode on in the fire service was an American LaFrance. It was a 1981 Century Chassis Apparatus. It had an engine that I grew up thinking that is what apparatus, that is what a fire truck is supposed to sound like. It's again, it's an iconic brand, and one which I hope will find a resurgence, whether it's an existing apparatus manufacturer purchasing the brand name, or whether someone purchases the company and decides to start making fire apparatus again. Continue to watch fireapparatus.com for any new developments. There are still a lot of questions that remain to be answered with the American LaFrance news, and so keep watching at fireapparatus.com for up to the minute news on that. Other than that, this has been Mc Loone, the Associate Editor with Fire Apparatus and Emergency Equipment Magazine. This is my first attempt at a video blog. Hopefully you liked it. Hopefully you got something out of it. And I hope to be talking to you again tomorrow.